Congressman DeSantis, you're now recognized for 5 minutes.
Well, thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Ranking Member Brownlee. I'll submit my statement for the record, the prepared remarks. I would just say that we have, I think, a wide acknowledgement that the suicide rate among veterans is appallingly high. There's obviously a number of factors that go into that. I think there's a broad agreement that post-traumatic stress for veterans, and all of our veterans, but particularly some of the post-9/11 veterans who have done multiple deployments in very difficult circumstances, that is a problem that we need to address, and that the VA's prescription for that typically is counseling and prescribing drugs, which can be helpful, but doesn't really answer the call for all the veterans. So you have a lot of veterans who go through the VA suffering from really significant post-traumatic stress. They do some counseling, they do drugs, and then they're still symptomatic, and sometimes they're even worse off. And so how can you deal with that problem? And what you've seen throughout our country is a number of organizations that have taken it upon themselves to harness the use of service dogs. And these are not just dogs that are just pulled off the street and given to veterans. I mean, they go through training programs so that the dogs understand the symptoms of PTS when the veterans are in circumstances where this is triggered, whether it's in public or whether it's having nightmares. The service dog understands that and can respond accordingly. And so what that ends up doing is that allows these veterans to get back into society and function. So we have a number of people who've endorsed, our bill, who have some great stories to tell. I mean, what our bill would basically do is have the VA recognize this as a possibility, write grants to some of these organizations that are accredited and that have been proven to do a good job. And if you look at the cost of, the service dog, the training, the veterinary care, even traveling the veteran to go and pick up the dog, if you end up having a veteran where that works well, and they stop using some of the prescription drugs, that's actually going to save a lot of money. I mean, we're doing it to save lives, but it really will. It's a bargain in many respects. And so we've been in, I think we got almost 200 co-sponsors on this. It's definitely a bipartisan bill, been endorsed by the major veterans organizations. But I've just had a number of veterans come up to me who had gone through the VA treatment and were not doing well. And I've had a number tell me, look, I was lucky enough to get a service dog through this organization or through a family friend or however they got referred. And if I didn't have that, I don't think I would be here today because they were suicidal. I have in the crowd here one of the guys who's really pushed for this named Cole Lyle, who's a Marine, former Marine, and he can tell you about, he was in the dumps. He had a service dog and, went to school. He's now up here. He's worked on the Hill. He's doing all kinds of things. So the results are there for us to see. There is more medical research now coming out that is showing that this is a positive effect, declining use of drugs, and a lot of the good indicators. So I appreciate the committee's interest in this issue. I think that this bill, the pilot program, it's only 5 years. It's not a lot of money overall, but I think you'll see real results. And I think the VA then, and I give Secretary Shulkin credit, he said, look, we can't wait. We've got, if this can work, we've got to do it. So I think what will happen is that'll really open up even more possibilities so that we can get that suicide rate down, so that we can get veterans who are suffering from post-traumatic stress back on their feet and back to being productive members of society, because when they do an awful lot of good in society too, even after their military service. So I appreciate you giving me the time to say a few words about this bill, and I yield back the balance of my time.